Hey y'all, it's your Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review for Zatima Season 4, Episode 19. So the episode picks up and it's the next morning and Fatima's in the bed and she's sitting up just thinking and Dak's still asleep. He eventually wakes up and they have a conversation. He asked her why she was up and she was like, I'm just nervous thinking about the baby shower and everything. And he's like, it must make you nervous that you're going to be treated like a queen today. Everybody's going to be touching on you and making you feel all loved and stuff. Fatima's like, that's exactly it. I don't want to be touched. I don't want nobody rubbing on my belly and everything. Fatima's like, is everything set? Zach is like, no. The gator says she ain't got enough wings. The balloonist is asking me what time she could drop. Fatima's like, you know what? Don't stress about it. Today's about us and our little baby. And Zach says, oh yeah, our son. Fatima's like, don't do that. Zach is like, don't do what? She's like, every time you talk about the baby, it's a boy. What if it's a girl? You make me feel like you don't want a girl. Zach is like, I do want a girl. Fatima's like, well, every time you talk about it, it's a boy, and she's going to feel that disappointment. Fatima's right on one hand, but I don't think Zach would ever do that, because some parents do treat their child different because they wanted a boy or a girl. Zach is like, don't do that. I just want a healthy baby with you. Zach is like, it's okay, because it's going to be one of 6, so one of them's bound to be a girl anyway. This is when Zach flips off the bed and he goes into the bathroom, and Fatima's like, no, get back here. So he comes back and they have a conversation, and she's like, what you mean? You expect me to carry all them kids? Zach is like, Fatima, I want a big family. Fatima's like, okay, but like, I'm gonna be the one that's carrying all this. Fatima's like, that's sweet and all, but I'm gonna be the one that's carrying all these kids unless you find a way to help. Zach is like, they can do that. I'm sure somebody's looking at that right now. Fatima's like, yeah, and also, I'm worried about my career. I really enjoyed being out there with Sage last night, and I really want to get more into it. Zach is like, I understand that, but you're about to graduate law school. And Fatima's like, that's the part. I'm about to graduate, so I can't really quit. Zach is like, once you have the baby and everything is settled, I'll invest into you, whether it's a song or an album, whatever you want to do, I'm here and I'll fund it. Fatima's like, so you're going to produce it? Zach is like, no, but I'm going to find a producer. Fatima's like, it's going to be cheap. Zach is like, no, it's not. I'm going to find somebody that's good quality. Zach is like, I'm here to support you in anything that you want to do. And if music is what you want to do, I'm behind it. Fatima's like, I'll let you know when I'm ready. So Zach turns around to leave, and Fatima says, I'm ready. Zach is like, right now? I thought you was going to get your hair done. Fatima's like, I am, but that's not until later. He's like, so what you doing right now? Fatima's like, I'm going to go take a walk with Angela to clear my mind and everything. Zach is like, wait, just take your time. I'm going to go make you breakfast. Fatima's like, you going to make me breakfast? Zach is like, yeah, but don't get too excited because the way you've been acting, it's just going to be cornflakes. Zach has Fatima spoiled, and he knows. Over at Belinda's shop, we see her shop has been broken into, and she comes in, and she's just like, who could have did this? Who could have did this? One thing I can say is that Belinda doesn't know how to show emotion in these type of situations. I understand that she's shocked and she doesn't know what to do in this situation, and when she called the police, she didn't even give them an address or anything. The only person that could have done this was Leslie, and I feel like she did this to Belinda because she knows that she can't get in immediate contact with Fatima right now because of the restraining order. Do I think the restraining order is going to stop her in any way? No, I don't. Zach and Fatima already know that they have to keep their head on a swivel. I feel like Angela and Belinda need to keep their head on a swivel too, because if Leslie can't get to Fatima right now, she's going to do everything in her power to get to Angela and Belinda. And she's already started by breaking into Belinda's salon. Belinda decides to call Fatima and let her know that she can't do her hair because the salon got broken into and they stole the cash register and some of her tools. And Fatima's like, that's okay. Let me know what you need and I'll go get it. Belinda's like, I can't do that to you. Fatima's like, it's okay, and plus I don't want to call nobody else to do my hair anyway, so tell me what you need. Belinda tells Fatima that the police have arrived, so she hangs up. After Fatima gets off the phone with Belinda, she tells Zach that the salon got robbed and she's going to go to the hair store so that she can pick up what Belinda needs so that she can do her hair. And Zach is like, why? Fatima's like, because I owe her. Zach is like, you owe her? You don't owe her anything. Fatima's like, yeah, actually I do. Plus, I really want to work on this relationship. Fatima, you are so much better than me because there's no way I would be friends with Belinda after everything that she done did to me, but alright. Zach literally tells her that she's too forgiving, and Fatima's like, yeah, I may forgive, but I never forget. Zach is like, I know, and that's why I always want to be on your good. Zach tells her, okay, do what you gotta do, but make sure you keep your pretty face ready by 4 o'clock. Fatima's like, okay. Over at Angela comes downstairs and she realizes that Bryce has stayed the night, and so she goes over there and she's like, I thought I told you to go home. Bryce is like, I read that people who have heart attacks normally have another one in the first 5 years. Angela's like, so you gonna be stuck to me for the next 5 years? Bryce is like, hopefully longer. He's like, Bryce, I think it's time for us to have that conversation now. Bryce is like, right now, can we just eat breakfast or get coffee or something? Angela's like, okay. Angela comes back with the coffee and they have the conversation, and she's basically like, when I told you I loved you at the hospital, I mean it, but I have to work on myself, and it's going to take some time. Bryce is like, I'm still trying to understand why you took those. Angela's like, it's because people will still look at me less than and say that I'm fat, even though I have the flyest man on the street. And the comments really got to me, and I'd be lying if I said that they didn't. Bryce is like, I'm sorry. Angela's like, what are you sorry for? Bryce is like, I'm sorry for all the times that you felt that way. Angela's like, well, I gotta take the time to figure out why I feel this way about myself in the comments. Bryce gives Angela a hug, and he's like, when I first found out that you had a heart attack, I was driving to the hospital, and I thought about what the world would be like without you, and it would be miserable. Next thing you know, he gets down on one knee, and Angela's like, what are you doing? Bryce is like, I had something in my toe and I wanted to get it out. Bryce is like, how did that feel though? Angela's like, I guess it felt nice. But she's like, don't be rushing into anything. I still have to work on me. Bryce is like, okay. Angela's like, there is something that I wanted to ask you. Tell me more about that open relationship stuff that you're into. Do you get jealous? How does it work? Is it polygamy? Bryce is looking at her like, what? During this whole conversation, Angela doesn't mention the fact that she's in love with Sean too. Is she gonna tell Bryce that? No, because I feel like she's not even in love with both of them. I don't even think Angela knows what being in love is. I think she's infatuated with both of them, but she's not in love. I'm gonna keep sounding like a broken record, but Angela and Bryce don't need to be together. They need to find somebody else that will make them happy. But before they can do all that, they both need to go to therapy to figure out their traumas and triggers. So as he's starting to begin to tell her, that's when she gets a call for Fatima. And she's like, hold on, I was supposed to meet Fatima for a walk. Fatima's like, forget about the walk, we're going shopping. Angela's like, what'd you forget? Fatima's like, Belinda's shop got robbed, so I gotta go get some supplies. Angela's like, what? Bryce is like, what happened? She's like, Angela's shop got broken into, so we gotta go get some supplies. Over at the barber shop, Tony just got into the shop, so somebody walks on the door. And he's like, hold on, I just got in, so it's gonna be a second. He turns around and it's this lady, and she's like, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute? Tony's like, what's this about? She's like, I'm Detective Thompson, and this is about the murder of Devontae Clark. He's like, so can you tell me about that night? Tony is like, well, the night it happened, I closed up the shop early and I went home. The detective is like, do you have someone that can corroborate that story for you, like a family member, a coworker, or anything? Tony's like, no. She's like, do you have any surveillance cameras? Tony's like, we don't have any surveillance cameras. The detective is like, well, the shop down the street has surveillance cameras, but they only stop at a certain point, and they only stop at the front of the shop. And as I was looking at the cameras, I didn't see you close up the shop early. Tony can't lie with a straight face if you told him that you would give him $1 million. Because all these questions that the detective is asking, he's basically giving himself away. Some time passes and Mr. Tyrone comes in and he talks to the detective and he's like, what is this about? She's like, I'm Detective Thompson and we're doing an investigation of the murder of Devontae Clark. The detective is like, do you work here? Mr. Tyrone is like, yeah, I'm actually one of the barbers. She basically gives him the same story about the cameras and how the cameras can only catch a certain point. She's really trying to match up to see if Tony's story is going to match up with Mr. Tyrone's story about him closing up the shop early and going home, and the reason why she can't see him on the cameras. Mr. Tyrone is like, well, that's because we park in the back. She's like, oh, I got it. Mr. Tyrone is like, do you have a better picture of him? The detective is like, no, because the family is not really cooperating with the investigation. She's like, well, the DA is saying that it might be gang-related. Mr. Tyrone is like, the gangs are pretty bad. She's like, yeah, but if y'all hear anything, know anything, or anything like that, give me a call. So she leaves, and Mr. Tyrone is like, you can relax now. She gone. Tyrone is like, what'd you say? Tony is like, I didn't say anything. Mr. Tyrone is like, what did you say? Tony's like, I didn't say anything. Look at me. I didn't say a peep. Mr. Tyrone is like, okay, she thinks it's gang-related, so we're going to take that and run with it, and we're going to shut him out. We're at the law firm. We see Nate talking to one of the vendors, and of course he's flirting with her and everything. Zach is just standing there like, what's going on? Why isn't there anything set up? Where's the cake tables? Where's the balloon lady? Where's the caterer and everything like that? And Zach is just stressing out. Nate is like, calm down, breathe. And he's trying to coach Zach to breathe. And Zach is like, don't do that. I've been breathing my whole life. I know how to breathe. I'm just stressed out. So they're going back and forth about that. And Nate decides to call everybody over and delegate orders on what they're supposed to be doing. And he tells everybody to hustle so they disperse and go do their task. Zach is like, you know what? I'm impressed. Nate is like, I just want you to know that this is the baby's gift for the baby shower, right? Zach is like, no. You're the godfather and you're gonna get the baby an actual gift. As he's talking, he sees somebody in the hallway with curly hair and they're walking by. And he automatically thinks it's Leslie. So he goes to confront the person and he grabs the lady and he's like, B. The lady turns around and it's not Leslie at all. Nate comes to check on Zach and he's like, what's wrong? Zach is like, I feel like I just saw Leslie. Nate is like, isn't she supposed to be still locked up? Zach is like, yeah, but I haven't heard from Fatima's father about anything, so I don't know. But Zach wasn't wrong because in the next room, Leslie was standing there with her back up against the wall. So Leslie's plan succeeded, and she was able to get down to business with the guard, and the guard helped her escape. So he calls Fatima's dad, and they have a conversation, and he's like, what's the update on Leslie? Have you heard anything? He's like, I tried, but the system got hacked. The thing happened is Leslie either hacked the system and hacked the camera so that they wouldn't know that she got out, and the guard helped her do it. Zach is like, okay. Henry's like, I'll check on the case and see, will that ease your mind? Zach is like, yeah. Henry's like, you sound nervous. Zach is like, I'm not nervous. He's like, thank you, though. Henry's like, there's no thanks. We gotta do what we gotta do and protect the queens. Zach gets off the phone with Henry, and Nate is like, so is she out? Zach is like, he's checking on it. Zach tells Nate that he's gonna go home and get his blicky because something don't feel right. Yeah, Zach, trust you. Back over at Zach and Fatima and Angela make it back from the hair store and they set the bags down and they talk about all the stuff that Fatima bought. She's like, yeah, some of it's for Belinda and some of it's for me. Speaking of Belinda, this is when Belinda walks in. She sees all the stuff that Fatima bought. She's like, thank you. This is enough for me to start my own salon. Also tells the girls that she caught the guys on camera doing the robbery, so they took the safe, the sponge rollers, and the cash register. The sponge rollers is a clue that Leslie probably hired somebody to take some of the tools too. Cause why would two guys need sponge rollers unless it's for their mama or their girlfriends? And nobody uses sponge rollers like that anymore. Cause even Angela said, y'all still use sponge rollers? So then they start talking about what Fatima wants to do with her hair and how she's gonna wear her hair. And Angela's like, so you gonna curl me up too? Belinda's like, I just did your hair. Then they start talking about the possibility of Belinda actually opening her own mobile salon. And Belinda's like, I don't know, it's a lot to think about. Fatima's like, well, you're already mobile anyway. And you're gonna be doing my hair for my wedding and you can get more clientele that way. And let my wedding be the first place where you could just start it. Belinda's like, I'll think about it. Angela tells him that she did tell Bryce that she loves him, and she also has to tell him that she's in love with Sean. And Belinda's like, you just love the fact that you can have possibility of two husbands. Angela's like, no, I told y'all that I'm working on me. And enough about me. You still over henpecked over the fact that you're still a side chick to a married man. Belinda's like, I turned over a new leaf. I'm different. Belinda, I feel like the only thing that's different about you is the clothes that you got on. Your personality didn't change one bit. Fatima tells them how she's thinking about starting her music career and how Zach is going to fund the album as long as she finishes law school. And Belinda's like, that's going to be hard. Belinda's like, you going to do it? Fatima's like, I'm thinking about it. They're like, you better do it now while the iron is hot because he wants you to change your mind because didn't he say he wants you to stay at home for a year and take care of the baby? Fatima's like, yeah. Belinda's like, he definitely wants you to change your mind. And Angela's like, well, if Beyonce could stand up there and be pregnant, you could be in the studio and sing a couple songs. They're like, you should ask Sage to be on the album. Fatima's like, you know I can't afford that girl. Angela's like, you don't know what she'll say if you don't ask, so just ask her. Fatima's like, okay. They're like, that's a good idea. So this is when she gets a call from Zach telling her to get to the venue now. And they're like, what? It's early. Zach don't care about it being early. It could be 12 o'clock at night. He don't care. Get to the venue now because he's panicking about the fact that he thinks he saw Leslie. But let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your bell notifications. Bye.